Hey everyone, I am Sanket Singh. I'm working as a software engineer in one of the big FAANG companies, and welcome back to my channel. So guys, in this video we are going to talk about one of the most, I would say, important topics, irrespective of the fact whether you want to become a software engineer, you want to become a product manager, a product analyst, or a data analyst. In all of these, I would say 4 or 5 fields, you will find this as a common topic that is asked in a lot of interviews, and not just in interviews, it is going to be used for your day-to-day work as well. Yes, I'm talking about database management system along with SQL. So in this video, we are going to see that how you can start your preparation and lay down a strong foundation on DBMS and SQL. I'll give you some very important, I would say good resources that I myself a lot of time used. I recommend this to most of my friends and students. And to be very honest, this is going to be a very, I would say, effective strategy to conquer the interviews for SQL, and also to have these foundations with you so that when you are actually working with the corresponding field, you are nailing it, and all of the tasks that you are doing perfectly. So without any further delay, let's just start. But before starting the video, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell icon so that you are never going to miss a video whenever we put the video on the channel. So let's just start. So guys, database management system, you say it as DBMS, is, I would say, one of the most important topics when you talk about actually working in the industry. It is also very regularly asked in the interviews for software engineering, data analyst, product management, etc. Right? DBMS is something that a lot of people, I would say, very effectively know, but when they are asked questions on it, they try to just answer it in a very vague fashion, and a lot of time they stumble on it. So how can you prepare for DBMS, and what are the most important topics to learn in DBMS? So I would like to categorize DBMS in 4 or 5 major submodules, right? Every single module is going to be important, and few of these modules you have to very rigorously practice also. It's more or less like problem solving that you have to do for SQL as well. So before we move forward in the video, I would like to make a very special announcement with all of you guys. So if you are someone who is willing to learn backend development and you have some basic knowledge of programming already, then I'm coming up with a new backend course, which is going to be a live detailed course. This course is going to cover multiple topics around backend development. The whole curriculum is specially designed by me only. I have been teaching for quite some time. Over in the last 4 to 5 years, I have taught more than 25,000 students, and I was able to decipher a lot of facts that students shared with me, that what are the places that they face difficulty with. And I already have been working as a backend engineer in multiple companies. So this curriculum is specially designed for anyone who is going to start their journey for backend development. We are going to use Node.js as the overall language that we are going to use in the course. This course is going to be comprising of more than 50 classes, and each class is going to be around 2 hours or more than 2 hours. You can see we are going to start with absolute basics of JavaScript, then we are going to hop on to Node.js. We are also going to discuss MySQL, which is going to be an RDBMS, as well as MongoDB, which is going to be a NoSQL. In this course, we are going to build 4 to 5 projects, and we are going to see not only REST APIs, but we are also going to get an introduction around gRPC. Right. So if you want to have a quick overview around the course, this is going to be the basic curriculum. You will be starting with basic JavaScript, then we'll be having advanced JavaScript, then Node.js. We'll be starting with basics of internet. Express.js will be the framework that we are going to use in order to build our APIs. We are going to learn about databases, ORMs. We are going to specially learn about version control system around Git. We'll start with APIs, we'll discuss REST and gRPC, we'll build RESTful APIs in multiple projects. So we are going to have 3 to 4 different projects. Apart from that, we are going to even discuss about WebSockets and build chat applications. We are going to talk about testing, which is one of the most important skill if you want to become a backend engineer and work in the industry. Testing is going to be one of the most important thing that you can have. We are going to see deployment on AWS as well as Heroku so that you can have both of the things with you. And at last, we are also going to discuss things around Dockers and containers. I will be launching a dedicated video on the channel to discuss more about the backend course and discuss all the nuances that are going to get offered. You can grab this course using the code Sanket to get a discount on the overall price. The price is kept very competitive, and all the classes are DBMS, because in this video we are going to stick to RDBMS. That's why we are talking about SQL, right? So how RDBMS comes into the picture, what are keys, what are constraints, what are validations. These basic topics is something that you have to first of all understand, because in these basic topics all the major terminologies that is generally used for the work and for the interviews is actually introduced. So this is the first module. The second module that you have to focus on is actually learning how you can design databases using RDBMS. Right, you have to see that what are the different examples that you can build and you can learn in order to understand how exactly databases work. You can start with basic examples like a university database, airplane management system, or a flight management system, right? You can go for a library management system. These kind of databases you can try to build, right? I'll pin down some links of some good Medium articles where you can find some good resources on how to actually create these databases. Now, why I'm telling you, like you need to learn these creation of databases, because whenever you'll be working as a software engineer or maybe as a product manager or a product analyst, you will be asked sometimes to design your databases as well. Or maybe you will be having some already present database and you have to create modifications to it. So it's not like that you have to just write SQL queries and just retrieve the data, insert the data, update the data and something like that. You have to sometimes actually design the data as well. And if you will be able to design the database as well, it will also help you in system design, because a lot of time in system design interviews also, interviews tend to ask that how can you design the overall structure in the form of a database that you have just proposed. So designing of the database is very important. And this leads to the further module that will actually help you in the second module, that is normalization. So in the second module, we just discussed about what are the ways in which you can design a database. You will be learning about ER diagrams and everything. In the third module, we come to normalization. Normalization is a very real world topic, to be very honest. Whenever you are going to work, you have to make sure that your databases are normalized. In normalization, you have to learn things like 1NF form, 2NF form, 3NF form, right? DCNF, etc. You won't be asked actually in a real world scenario to make it 2NF or 3NF, but whenever you will be deciding the structure of a database, it should be in the back of your mind that, okay, we have to make sure that normalization is well done so that the overall structure of the database is as optimized as possible. That if you have already covered, then we will be going to the next module, that is SQL queries. I'll be sharing some dedicated resources and I'll be also solving a very simple question that will give you how to approach an SQL question. But these SQL queries are going to be very frequently asked. You will be just given a question and you will be asked to write a SQL query. It's more or less like a coding question only, but it's just that you have to code that in SQL. So this is something really very important. And after this, I would say all the rest of the miscellaneous topics that are not very frequently asked in the interviews, but yes, they are very important for laying down the foundations. So topics like the transaction management. So you should be able to understand transaction management, asset properties, etc. You should know the comparison between different RDBMS and even different databases management is like an RDBMS versus a NoSQL. These kind of things are going to come into the miscellaneous topic. I would say if you have well prepared the first 4 parts, then you can definitely focus on the 5th part as well. Otherwise, the first 4 modules are going to be the most important ones. So these are the basic topics that you have to learn. I'll be listing down all the topics in the description section as well. But let's just see that how you have to build a strategy into learning all of these topics step by step. So let's just see that how you can devise a strategy in order to learn all of these topics. If you are someone who is more oriented towards books, then the book of Forth is very famous in order to learn database management system. A lot of time you will find people in colleges reading this book in order to understand and obviously give the exams as well. So I would also recommend, if you're someone who is more intended towards book and more inclined toward books, this is a very recommended book to go for. Otherwise, I would say that if you're someone who is more oriented towards video lectures, then this video on FreeCodeCamp is very, I would say, concise and very precise in order to learn SQL queries and everything, right? But first of all, before you go to any of the resources that I'm going to also list down later, you have to first understand what are the things that you have to learn, right? You have to list down all the topics that I just mentioned. Try to see, I would say, previous interview questions or previous, I would say, question papers of different exams if you are preparing for any exam, right? So you can refer to LeetCode. LeetCode discussion section is a very rich discussion section. You can just query down your company name and write SQL questions or SQL interview or SQL interview questions. Let's say you are preparing for Intuit, so you can just write Intuit SQL interview questions, software engineer, LeetCode, right? Having these kind of keywords, if you write on Google, you will find a lot of LeetCode articles where people have already written what was asked to them, and a lot of time not only the questions but also the answers they also put. So you will be able to understand that what is something that you're going to fight for, right? You will be able to understand what are the different topics which is getting asked very frequently in a particular company, or what is the level of questions that you can expect in your upcoming interviews, or let's say if you're working somewhere, then what is the expectation out there. So make sure that you Google it down, that what are the things that are expected out of you as a software engineer, product manager, or whatever profile you are applying for. So LeetCode is going to be something that you can definitely refer to. Apart from that, websites like Glassdoor, Levels.fyi, all these websites also have got a bunch of articles where people push their experiences working in a company or giving an interview on something. Apart from that, you can also look for Blind. On Blind also, a lot of people put their interview experiences. So make sure that you explore these websites well. Spend around 1 to 3 days in order to actually understand what is expected out of you. This is going to help you to set up a mindset that, okay, these are the things that we have to prepare for. After you have spent good time understanding what's the expectation, then you can see that, okay, now we know what were the topics that were very frequently getting asked, and now we have to start the preparation for it. I would say then after this, spend good 15 to 20 days, because DBMS is not very vast. It's kind of is a very in-depth topic or an in-depth subject where for every topic you have to dig down very deep, but it's not very vast. There is not very vast amount of topics also that you have to cover. So I would say 15 to 20 days is a good time period where you can just focus on DBMS. Now, from where to learn DBMS, I've already mentioned about the Book of Code. Apart from that, you can also refer this free code camp video. It's a very, I would say, concise video. I also watched it a few times, and I also refer this video to a lot of people. Apart from that, you can also refer mode.com. It has got really good articles on SQL. Apart from that, there are some good articles on LeetCode Discuss apart from this mode.com, right? So there are a bunch of these websites that you can refer. I won't recommend you to go for multiple very 10-20 resources, because it only creates confusion. If you're someone who is more into video tutorials, go for Free Code Camp. If you're someone who is more into books, go for the Book of Code. Apart from that, if you're someone who is more intended toward reading articles and everything, then I would say referring good Medium articles and mode.com is going to be sufficient for you. So spend this time in actually preparing the topic. Start from beginner level topic. Start from, I would say, very basics, understanding what is DBMS, RDBMS, design a database, and then slowly and steadily move forward to SQL. Whenever you encounter a topic and you are not able to understand from the corresponding resource, just Google about it. Just Google some good Medium articles about it. People have drilled down every single topic of DBMS in very concise and easy manner. This is going to be a very good strategy in order to learn DBMS, because once you have prepared well for DBMS, it's not going to be something that you have to prepare again and again. It's only a matter of time that you give good amount of practice to it, good amount of learning around intermediate to hard problems, and things should be done. So this is something that you should do in the upcoming 15 to 20 days. Now, after you have prepared things well, of course, you won't be able to prepare everything 100%. We are not prepared for any kind of exam, interview, I would say work for 100%. But if you know that you have learned 30 to, I would say 60% also, then you are already doing very well. Now it's the time to apply your knowledge on real world problem solving. And for problem solving, I would highly recommend you guys to go through the HackerRanks SQL section. In the HackerRank SQL section, you will find beginner to hard level problems, segregated topic by topic. If you want to solve the topics of join, you can do that. If you want to solve the topic for aggregated functions, you can do that. Select queries, group by, whatever topic you have to specifically practice for in SQL, you can just filter that out, start from beginner level question to hard level questions. And in the HackerRank discussion section of that corresponding question, you will also find the solution. So I would say just spend 15 to 20 minutes, keep a timer, keep a clock that will help you to actually mimic a situation of an interview or mimic a situation where you have to solve the problem very quickly. So you have also a constraint on your brain. It's not like you are solving a problem for the whole day, right? That's not how you generally prepare. So keep a clock. and see that how fast you are able to solve the problem. In this problem set, you will find very, I would say, different variety of questions where you will be also asked to write nested queries, multiple segregated queries, complex joins, complex group bys, different type of select queries. Everything is included. I'm not saying you should solve it like all the 100% questions, but if you have solved good 30 to 40% questions from this particular question bank, I would say you will feel very confident in actually applying these SQL problems whenever somebody will ask you. If HackerRank is not something that is really exciting for you and you are more of a LeetCode kind of a person, then on LeetCode also there is a dedicated set of questions on SQL. To be very honest, I myself have practiced only on HackerRank. I have very less experience with LeetCode SQL, but all the questions that I've solved on LeetCode SQL are, to be very honest, very high quality as well. So you can also refer that. It's just that you have to solve some questions. And when I say you have to solve some questions, then don't just theoretically solve it. Try to solve it in step-by-step manner. First of all, try to understand what the question is asking for. Second of all, try to see what are the tables, what is the data given to you. Try to have a notebook with you, try to draw the tables and see what are the main columns that are actually making some sense to you. Then see what kind of filtration you have to do in the data, and in order to do the filtration, what kind of joining you have to do. Because every time in most of the SQL queries, there are two components, or I would say three components. One component is what type of data to filter. Second is how to filter. And third is if you need one table or a group of tables that you have to join together. If you are able to segregate out these three components of the problem, the SQL query will be solved. So I would highly recommend you guys to drill down the question like this. Once you have drilled down the requirements overall, then start writing the query. In order to write the query, first of all, see that if you have to join multiple tables or not. Write the joining part. Once you have joined the table, then see how to filter the data. What's the required data that you have? Then write the filtration part by using the where clause or the having clause. And at last, write the display part, that what to fetch in the filter data, what exactly things, what are the columns and the properties that you have to fetch. After writing this part, I would say you will be good to go. Try writing these queries. You will get some wrong answers initially, but slowly and steadily, you will be able to improve. This is going to be a very good strategy that you can do in order to solve SQL questions. Now, I'm going to solve one very simple SQL question to show you that what can be a good strategy to devise in order to solve a SQL question. This will give you a real world example on how I actually solve a real world SQL question. Okay, so let's just try to solve this problem. This problem is coming from HackerRank, right? And this problem name is the report. I'll just quickly go through the problem. It's a medium problem, right? And we'll see how we can solve this SQL problem. I'll show you the step-by-step approach, what I generally do in order to solve a SQL problem. So let's say you are given two tables, students and grades. Student contains three column IDs, names, three columns, ID, name and marks. So you can see here, there will be three columns in students: ID, name of the student and marks of the student. ID will be an integer, name will be a string, marks will be an integer. And grades will be containing the following data. There will be grade, minimum mark of the grade and the maximum mark of the grade. This is going to define the range of the grade. Okay, cool. Katie gives Eve a task to generate a report containing three columns. So we have to create a report of three columns: name, grade and mark. So definitely we have to combine both the tables because we need the name also, we need somehow the grade also and the mark also. Katie doesn't want the name of the students who received a grade lower than 8. So any student, say, you have to order by their name. Finally, if the grade is lower than 8, then use null as their name. So you don't have to show their actual name, you have to show null. And list them by their grades in descending order. So these grades are expected to be listed in descending order. If there is more than one student with the same grade from 1 to 7 assigned to them, order those students by their marks in ascending order, right? So this is the overall situation. So for example, for this given sample input, the output is going to be this, right? Because here you can see we have to give name, grade and mark. So for Julia, if let's say you see the marks are 88, right? So the grade is going to be 9. But there are few more students. For example, Maria is having marks 99. That's even better. So we have to see that what will be the situation. And you can see in Jane and Julia is having a higher mark, but the grades of Jane and Julia are same. But the entry of Jane is before Julia because we have to arrange them by their name, right? So this is the overall situation given to us. Now let's try to write a SQL query. Now I can divide our problem into two situations. One situation will be for those students whose marks are less than 8, and for those students whose marks are greater than 8. Okay, so students having marks greater than or equal to 8. Okay, so let's see what we can do. So as I always say, first of all, see what part you have to join. So definitely we have to join this students column and this students table and grade table, because here you can see the students with the corresponding marks are going to get attached with the grade. Now in order to connect the two tables, we have marks as an entity, or we can say marks as a property that is common in both of them. But you can see there is one marks column, and here we have min mark and max mark. So we have to combine both of these tables so that we are checking that whether the marks of a student is lying in the range, in what range of min max to max mark. Okay, so what we are going to say is, let's see what will be the joining part, right? So we'll say, for the timing, we'll say select star. I'm currently doing star. Later we will do the fetching exercise, that what exact data we want to fetch, right? Let's say select star from students, right? And now we are going to put a join, so inner join, and we have to join them based on grades. So we'll be joining with the grades table, right? And now we have to mention on what column we have to join. So we'll say students dot marks should be greater than or equal to grades dot min mark, and students dot marks should be less than or equal to grades dot max mark. Okay, so technically we have done the joining part, because when we have to join students and grade, in this case it's not going to be a simple join where you are just going to compare marks with the marks present in the other column, on the table. Here we have a range of marks, so for a range we cannot just do directly equals to, we have to do greater than equal to and less than equal to denote the range. Now we have the joining part ready. Now we have to see how can we filter the data. So what type of data we want to filter? So we can say where grades dot grade is greater than equal to 8, because we want only for the students, name of only those students whose grades are greater than or equal to 8. And then we have to arrange them. We have to arrange them by their grades, and if and these grades should be in descending order, and if grades are same, then they should be arranged by their name in ascending order, right? So I know that a lot of you guys might be thinking that why I'm doing again students dot marks, grades dot means, and why not I'm putting an alias. You can put an alias, but it's just for a demonstration purpose only. And now what we are going to do, we are going to see what we have to fetch. Now we have filtered the whole data and everything. Now we have to see what specific columns and details we have to show. So we'll say students dot name we have to show, then grades dot grade we have to show, and students dot marks we have to show, right? That's going to be it. And this is going to be for those students who have marks greater than or equal to 8. Let me copy paste the same query, and now we will be doing some changes for handling less than 8, the grades, students having grades less than 8. So first of all, we can see we have to do the same kind of join. Join is going to be same. The filtration part is going to be different, because now we want less than 8. And then we have to order them by their grades in descending order, and then again names in ascending order. But this time we don't have to show the name. Instead of their name, we have to show null. So we can just put a normal string null. You can see it passes that sample test case, and if you submit it, there's only one test case and things are correct, right? And you are getting the correct answer. You can see later we are also printing null. So all the students who are having grades less than 8 are going to have null instead of their names. So you can see the simple approach, right? I first of all followed that what will be the joining process if we have to do some joining, then we have to do the filtration process. At last, I try to put that what we have to fetch from the final filtered joined data. So this is like my basic approach that I at least try to follow whenever I am solving any SQL based question. So once you have practiced some good amount of SQL question, I would recommend you to go back to the earlier LeetCode articles or the Glassdoor or Blind articles that you referred and see the same questions that you already saw there and see are you getting some idea of those questions, because most of the time not the same question is going to be asked to you. It's like a 50% probability only, but still if you are getting some idea about that question or not, and if yes, if you are able to get some idea about the question, then your strategy is good. Now I would say keep on practicing the questions. Now you can go back to your you are in practice of all the SQL questions, and I would say if you have some good programming peer group, then maybe you can conduct some mock interviews together so that you are able to see whether your SQL query thing is getting sorted or not. Apart from that, one very important thing is try to see some good system design interview experiences or system design questions, because in system design questions also you are asked to design a database, not to query on the database or something, but to design a database. This will help you to actually practice the normalization and the ER diagram part of the thing, because this is something very I would say important. A lot of time this is also going to be asked. So preparing a database for, I would say, a social media is something that you can practice. Preparing a database for a Netflix or a video streaming service, preparing a database for university or flight system, right? Preparing a database for something like Book My Show. All of these relevant applications that are also asked in system design and you also use in daily life is something that you can try to design a database for. No design is perfect. It depends on your business use case and your user story, user journey. But the thing is that you have to try, you have to practice, and maybe try to get these designs reviewed by your peer programmers who are also preparing along with you, so that you can get a good perspective on whether you missed something or you could have thought the same problem in some other way. This is going to help you to, I would say, solidify your foundations and solidify your preparation for the database management, I would say, interviews. So that was it for this video. These are the, I would say, pointers that I myself followed, and to be very honest, there was no such time when I was not able to solve a SQL question or database design question in any of my interviews. Maybe in the later stages I also have to buckle up and solve some harder problems. That's why I also keep on practicing. But to be very honest, when you are in a company, when you are working as a software engineer or maybe a product manager or an analyst, then SQL is something that you encounter daily. Almost daily you have to work on SQL. If you are someone who is working as a backend engineer, then trust me, SQL is going to be your daily dosage. So that also gives you a sense of practice, I would say, and your muscle memory never loses the questions and the, I would say, strategies for SQL. One very last thing is when you are working as a software engineer, then a lot of time not only the basic SQL queries you have to write, but you have to also write a complete PL SQL. You can read about PL SQL in some of the articles that I'll be listing down below. You don't have to focus a lot on PL SQL, but topics like triggers, procedures, and putting some loops and all, writing a complete PL SQL script is something that is going to be really helpful for you, because a lot of time for debugging purpose or for patching purpose, PL SQL is also used in the industry. So this is something coming completely from my experience. When I was working at LinkedIn, I was writing a lot of PL SQL also. So this is also going to be something that can be helpful for you. Apart from that, you can add your own, I would say, set of questions or set of resources in order to learn, I would say, SQL and DBMS, because nothing that worked for, like, it's not necessary that something that worked for me or something that is working for someone else is also going to be working for you. So you can obviously make some changes. All of the things that I discussed in the video is completely my opinion. You can try it and let me know in the comment section whether you were able to get some good foundations of DBMS or not. That being said, let's just wrap this video here. We are going to meet soon in some next set of videos. Till then, take care guys, bye bye, and love you all.